Ich hab den angemacht, Jungs. So, probiert mal den Link aus, falls was ist.
Ja, irgendwie bist du wieder nicht essen im Palast.
Arian, mach mal deine Jacke hier hin, bitte. Damit keiner sich da hinsetzt.
Ich mache mich selber ein.
So, probiert mal den Link aus, Jungs.
Steht in 4 Minuten geht das online.
Okay.
Ja, gut, okay. Bei Arian funktioniert es, funktioniert auch bei den anderen. Lockt euch einfach alle ein, dann stehen da so 30 User oder so. Sieht doch eh keiner. Okay, good. Hey. So you will have the best view today. Because I will not sit anybody. It's live streamed, so.
I don't think so. I'm like, it's still break time.
No, but it will be live streamed, so they will not. You will have the best view.
Yes, that's great.
Gut. Frau Rüdiger,
Ja.
ich bequeme mich neben Sie. Und diese Stühle gehen einfach mal nach vorne so. Nach hinten. Ja. Mit dem Rücken nach hinten. Ja, aber ich finde das super.
Ich finde das auch super.
Mein Gott, kein Beifall.
I've got a lot of voices. Why?
Ja, ich habe ja gesagt, ich habe
You want to see mine? How much is it? 6 is more than 3.
Oh my god, what is
Eigentlich.
First remove it from silent. You're no longer in the presentation.
Und das genau hier drauf.
No, right now you keep it on silent. Once you get out. वही क्या तू
रहता भाई बहुत that's part you should try Palam. It's tasty. You want to never leave it happen.
अब ये भाई मुझे बस बोलना let's have a team photo मैं कर दूँगा और कोई कर सकता
क्या पढ़ रहे हो?
seeing one of the teams thing?
भाई बहुत मजा आया अभी एक टीम है यहाँ पे 21 पूरी टीम आ गई अगर अभी भी बोलते ना यहाँ
It was actually what was supposed
It was
Yeah, it felt like the
it felt like you.
you should read it, I think. With the कुछ with the and yes. Huh? But tell her what did I do?
Hast du mit allen hin? Hast du da hingegangen?
Oh.
You were high school. You were definitely. There was a lower school, which is not high enough. You would have.
बहुत लंबे यार लोग मैं एक बंदा को देखता मुझे लगा ट्वाइस माय हाइट है this is both I'm like on purpose neither but then it did match to the situation
What is going to be?
Why?
This looks good.
Right?
I don't think so. It's just, I mean, when people
Why
try
do
to
you
mess
think
up.
so? Why do you think so? Moment, nee, das passt nicht.
Das klappt, das klappt.
Das klappt nicht, weil dann siehst du das nur oben. Wenn das so.
Mies, mies.
Weit mit.
भाई लक्ष्य सुनना लक्ष्य भाई लक्ष्य के एक्सप्लेनेशन स्किल नेक्स्ट जाके वो काम करो अभी वो जो दो बंदों एक्सप्लेन कर रहा हूँ उनको बताइए so earlier what we thought was we're gonna use OD and then we're gonna have two equations during variables and then he says but we got dependent equations so this is enough this is fine now he can stop and move on to the next part but what he says is so what that means is if we have let's just say x plus y is equals to f of c then the other equation we got was 2x plus 2y is equals to 2 of m. I mean, you have already said it's dependent. I mean, what do you expect? These guys already know what dependent is.
So the other thing what
Why he-
people aren't they know a lot.
You can take that for granted. If the other person is saying yes, I understand you're dependent, you cannot. And the best part was those guys literally said, oh okay, I see. I was like,
Honestly, I think they just did it because he doesn't feel bad about it or he doesn't think it's stupid. Yes. It's alright. Hast du schon geschlafen? So, इतना पेड़ है श्याम सुंदर नहीं है मतलब ग्रीन
Absatz. Einfach mal.
Instagram live, you and I item deal. I think you and I do Instagram. Like the presentation shows me like that. Instagram like that.
Yeah.
Like I know, item deal में Instagram पे कैसे handle होता है. जब presentation के होने वाले ना, we are already Instagram live. We can do catch live.
क्या?
हमारा भाई शरद को भी लाना चाहिए था जम्मू शरद would have been social media handler शरद
मैंने बोला हम वीडियो लेंगे मतलब वीडियो भी नहीं किया तेरा पैशन करना चाहिए था
you should have taken पता चलता भाई कहाँ
the judge pointed out very well but then time efficient बिल्कुल नहीं है वो टाइम से नहीं हो पाएगा but then there are certain things they can do there are many changes actually
मैंने सोचा वाइंड अप कर लेंगे एक्सप्लेन नहीं
and frankly Bissu did I'm like he would have presented very well but then seeing that the time was like this he बीच में वो सोचा I felt like उसे लगा मैं तो complete ही नहीं कर सकता तो he stopped for a while and then he continued again
super angry he went there Mike would have कुछ बोलते गया मुझे यहाँ पे दबाया उसने मैंने भी कुछ दिमाग का नहीं हो रखा उसने जैसा माइक ही काम नहीं करता सब तो मैंने जहाँ पे माइक मैनेज कर रहा था उसने दिया उसे माइक वहाँ पे जब पटक गया वैसे उछाल गया अभी थोड़ी Who is not first of all like everybody is that's right exactly
Testing. Hey, folks. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so we got a packed room here. I know this says judges, but if some people want to sit here, I think that's okay. The judges will stay on this side. So if some people want some seats there, And you can sit down then in the front over here. If people in the back want to come in here, you can sit in the front. That's fine over there. If anybody wants these seats here, there's probably enough for 5, 10 people to sit down. If you don't, that's fine. But if you do, it's on the floor here. Please do that before we get started. Okay, so we have a packed house here, and our first team today is Duesseldorf. They'll go ahead and start, and go for it.
Can you hear me? Hi, I'm Melanie, and this is Mirko, and we represent the iGEM team Duesseldorf 2019. Today we want to talk to you about milk. But before we do so, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Because we hear it on the radio and we see it on TV. Climate change affects us every single day. There are people that say that climate change is not real or that it's not a big deal. But there are also people that say that, okay, climate change is real. But me, just being one single person, how can I make a difference, right? So why should I even care? But what if I tell you that there's something that we can do that will have a positive and immediate impact on our planet, our world, our home? We face issues like melting ice caps, desertification, and wildfires every single day. At the same time, overpopulation is a big issue when it comes to climate change. It's that simple. The more people we are, the more food we need. And as most of our foods are livestock-based, we got curious and started our research and found out that 26% of planet's ice-free lands are used for livestock grazing, which equals the size of North and South America. 70% of antibiotics in the USA are used for industrial livestock, contributing to the rise of multi-resistant germs. And the majority of livestock problems are related to beef and dairy cattle. In the beginning, we told you that we want to talk to you about milk. To be more precise, we want to show you the problems that comes with cow's milk. Therefore, we have a few examples. For this 1 glass of milk, a cow is more than 100 liters of water, requires a huge area, and produces a big amount of greenhouse gases compared to the pre-existing milk alternatives. We, the iGEM team Duesseldorf 2019, aim to synthetically create an alternative to native cow's milk in a cruelty-free, friendly, and carbon-efficient way. But before we do so, we first had to figure out what the composition of cow's milk is. The major components are minerals, fats, proteins, lactose, and water. But we will focus on the fats and the proteins, as these are not commercially available and are important for the taste and the texture of real milk.
Now we want to show you how we got from an idea to the final product. Since we want to produce the fatty acids, we decided to use the photoautotrophic organism SynMylk as our main production host. But before we can produce the fatty acids, we have to know the metabolism of SynMylk, a common cyanobacteria, first. For this, we used a published model for the optimized production of ethanol. The basics of this model, like the Kelvin-Benson cycle in the beginning, stays the same, and we focus on the fatty acid biosynthesis part of this model. With this model, we were able to detect targets and bottlenecks in the pathway and make a prediction of our results. SynMylk is a great biotech chassis because of the genome and plasmid-based approaches of engineering. This slide shows the native fatty acid metabolism in SynMylk. The flex balance analysis showed us different targets which can be modified. First, in red, we have the downregulation of off-target genes. like the thiolase, which is included in the reduction of fatty acids. As you can see in the graph, we expect optimized production of fatty acids when this gene is inactive. In green, we have targets which can be overexpressed, like the acetyl-CoA carboxylase complex, or in short ACC, which is a rate-limiting step in this metabolism and produces the precursor malonyl-CoA for the elongation of fatty acids. With a strong expression, we expect a huge amount of fatty acids compared to the native expression level. In the bottom left, this is how the yields of butyric acid looks like in a non-modified organism, but it can be increased by downregulating the off targets and additionally increased by adding the overexpression to the calculation. Now that we know our targets, we have to modify our chassis. For this, we were allowed to use the inducible CRISPR-Cas9 system from Dr. Lunyao. Cas9 is a version of Cas9 with no nuclease activity. The Cas9 forms a complex with a small guide RNA, binds to the target gene determined by the small guide RNA, and causing a gene knockdown. We were able to show that this system works on an RNA level. The thiolase, one of our targets, was reduced under 10% compared to the control. Additionally, we have successfully shown that this system also works on a protein level with a reporter gene and Venus. On the metabolic level of expression, we haven't seen an increase of fatty acids, but we showed with the experiments before that this system works, and we have to discover different regulation systems on the metabolic level as well. Normally, the fatty acids are elongated in a cyclic process where 2 carbon atoms are added to the chain length. The thioesterase is an enzyme which terminates this process at a specific number and releases the free fatty acids. For a broad range of fatty acids which are required for the production of a synthetic milk, we also need a broad range of thioesterases. We identified 5 possible thioesterases from different organisms and analyzed 2 of them more intensive, which are producing the fatty acids which are needed for the structure and the taste of the synthetic milk. The expression of the thioesterase and with it the changes in the fatty acid profile are analyzed by GCMS. We've done this experiment with E. coli and SynMylk cystis and compared them to a control for each fatty acid. If we overexpress the thioesterase from the algae Haematococcus pluvialis, we expect a high amount of C20 monosaturated fatty acids. And if we overexpress the thioesterase test A from E. coli itself, we also see this huge increase, but additionally see a huge increase of unsaturated fatty acids in SynMylk cystis, which are the fatty acids of interest. The majority of the fatty acid profile in SynMylk cystis have the chain length of 16, so we look on the fatty acids which are longer. In this graph on the right side, you can see that the expression of the thioesterase test A in SynMylk cystis causes a huge change of the fatty acid profile compared to the wild types. With these experiments, we were able to show that we can modify our chassis to produce specific fatty acids and control the fatty acid profile in SynMylk cystis. Now we show that we made a lot of GCMS, but this method is expensive and not available to every iGEM team. So we decided to create a fatty acid biosensor. In this frame, the transcription factor, FAP-R, inhibits the transcription of the reporter genes. CoA-bound fatty acids activate the transcription factor, and we have an easy readout with our reporter genes. For our reporter genes, we use 3 fluorescent protein and 1 promo protein. Together with the biosensor, we characterized and improved a previous biosensor construct. This construct was measured with the C16 fatty acid and uses the reporter gene RFP. We replicated this experiment and added more concentrations and different fatty acids to the measurement. Our improvement for the RFP part is a better reporter gene. Superfolded GFP shows a higher dose response to the fatty acids in both samples. At this point, we thought that not every iGEM team has the access to measure fluorescent, so we decided to create a biosensor version and with the blue chromoprotein MECP for absorption measurement to detect fatty acids. Our biosensor experiments, especially the in vivo biosensor, shows a comparable result to the GCMS, so we are confident that this measurement enables a faster and cheaper detection of fatty acids in the future. At this point, we want to mention that we created for all of our experiments the protocol and protocol.io for open source access and the opportunity to replicate all of our experiments. Now that we showed that we can produce and detect the fatty acids, we can focus on the production of the proteins in synaptocystis. For this, we use strong constitutive promoter CPC 560 in a proof of concept experiment with Elvinus. In this graph, you can see that the growth is decreased when the promoter is active in the strain. The production of Elvinus causes a metabolic burden to synaptocystis. But we were also able to show on an SDS gel and with immunoblotting the strong expression of the proteins and additionally confirm this production with microscopy, with fluorescent microscopy. After this proof of concept, we decided to use this promoter also for the production of the milk proteins. Like in the proof of concept experiment, we were also able to show a strong expression of the proteins. This promoter enables a strong cyanobacterial protein production, and this is why it's the best in the basic part. The downstream processing is expensive and not very easy, so we decided to produce also the proteins in a gram-positive organism, Bacillus subtilis, as a strong protein production host. For our project, we got the strains and the sequence sequence for a simple secretion of the milk proteins from the research center unit. We were able to show with immunoblotting the strong expression of the milk proteins, and we detect them in the supernatant, so we have so we can isolate them more properly.
So it's not a secret that we want to change the dairy market. Therefore, we had to start thinking big in the early stages of our project. For the scale-up, we used the photobioreactor with the eco-friendly host synaptocystis and the aforementioned promoter CPC 560. We managed to use high amounts of protein, similar to the standardized production host E. coli. And in the future, our production will take place in a cost and carbon efficient way by using salt water, factory gases, and the sunlight for our outdoor bioreactors. So in the beginning, we mentioned the problems that comes with cow's milk. Now the question, is SynMylk better? Well, according to our estimates, it is. As we will be using salt water instead of fresh water, we will have a much more eco-friendly production. Also, the bioreactors will use space much more efficient than cows do. Plus, we can place them wherever we want to place them. And as we are using synaptocystis as our main chassis, we will not just be able to not produce any CO2 emissions, but in contrast, reduce them. So not just the cows are the problems, but the long processing chain. You can see that the way from producing the cow's milk to the consumer is a very long way. SynMylk aims to shorten this pathway. You can see that we have much less processing steps, and these are more eco-friendly. But with the components that we created, we will not just be able to create SynMylk, but other applications. We can provide businesses with our components, create our own bioplastic using caseins, and package other products in it. In addition to that, we will be able to create synfuel. But we didn't just come up with this out of nowhere. We talked to different experts about topics like the marketing and science, financing, and processing. And not just that, we talk to the public that has a general interest in our project. We did radio and newspaper interviews and a survey where we try to figure out what people think about GMOs and synthetic biology in general. We continued with that and started an Instagram series called GMO Wednesday, where each Wednesday we show people what GMOs are and how we face them on a daily basis. And we continued with the postcard project that was started with the iGEM team Duesseldorf 2016, where each participating team designs and exchanges postcard with a scientific background. We are also happy to announce that we won Best Project at the iGEM Spring Festival in Bonn. And as networking is important for iGEM, we hosted this year's German meetup in Düsseldorf. We had a lot of great talks and interesting panel discussion and met the other team members in their project as well as we shared our. So you can see here all the organisms that we used for the production of our milk components, but managed to also successfully create all of them in this one host, being the eco-friendly consistency. What makes it the best planned synthetic biology project. And for people who want to create their own designer milk, we created a card collection, an improvement collection, containing different proteins, signal sequences for protein secretion, a custom-able regulatory system, bioesterases for changing formulation for fatty acids, a biosensor for cheap and easy detection, all of them suitable for different organisms. This, ladies and gentlemen, is how we created SynMylk. You should take this in. We managed to fulfill all valid criteria and applied for a couple of special prizes like entrepreneurship, model, and more. But before we come to an end, we want to thank our sponsors, the institutes, and the professor, and everybody that was involved in our project. And of course, we want to thank you for your attention and your time. Thank you very
much. Thank you very much. Yeah, team, come on up. All done. Okay. All right, cool. So first we have questions from the judges. I think the room is more packed now than when we started. If you haven't looked in the back, you may want to. It's not even standing room. That's fun. Okay.
Hi, great presentation. Thank you. It was great. Can you clarify, were you able to synthetically produce everything in milk or only some fatty acids and proteins?
Well, basically, the goal wasn't to create all the components of milk because some of them can also already be commercially bought. For example, the minerals, there are lots of chemical companies making the pure products. So we focused on those products that could not be bought in animal-free manner.
And did you create them all?
We created a broad range of components. Most of them, some of them we weren't able to detect because of the method of GCMS, but yes, we created.
I actually want to follow up on that last part. So you created, let's say you created even everything. How is it going from your organism to my glass of milk at home? What's that process? And what sort of thoughts about GMOs, et cetera, have you guys applied? Because I feel like that's sort of a big part that I didn't quite get.
Well, basically, the idea is to create the pure components, which can be isolated from the cells. So we would use purification processes to get to the actual pure component, and then we would mix it together to create milk. But in the process, the GMO cells are killed, and when the final product is actually there, you can also it is also sterilized again. So we have two steps where GMOs are not released into the actual product.
And in Europe, would it be classified as a GMO product?
No, in Europe it would be classified as non-GMO, despite being produced by GMOs, because it does not contain any genetically modified organisms.
So you have a company designing part. Like, if you will commercialize your project, how much does it cost? Will it be affordable as much as the cow milk that we have, or will it be more expensive?
Yeah, well, of course, research is expensive, therefore it would be actually more expensive than actually in the beginning. And what our approach is not to be costly under the normal milk, because we sell away with the product. Like in our research, we evaluated that most of the people on the younger generations are already paying more for a product, if not of them away. So we are not going to have the approach where you need to completely price with the traditional dairy companies.
Hi, I really like your presentation. It was really nice and clear. But I have a question. Like right now, I live in California, and there's a lot of companies that they are producing this type of milk based using plant-based. So, what do you have something to say about it? Like, why should I prefer your product and not the plant-based product that is kind of cheaper and faster to prepare?
I think with plant-based, you mean almond or soy or something?
Or pea protein?
Well,
Have some type of milk, right? Replacing it.
Well, if I got your question right, I think the special part about our organization is also the modularity. Because we have all components and they are pure strong, we can design every or adjust the milk to the needs of every person who wants to buy it. Like, you can do just the normal replicator of the cow's milk, you can do it with extra protein, you can do it with more omega-3 fatty acids, you can do it without lactose or engineered the proteins to be less allergenic. Yeah, so that's, I think,
If plant-based alternatives were satisfying the demand for cow milk already, they would be used because they are cheaper. But since plant-based milks don't taste exactly the same, don't have the same texture, sometimes cooking with them is harder, the demand for actual cow's milk is still there. This is a demand that we satisfy.
So I want to focus on the entrepreneurship angle right now. So not necessarily anything you had in your presentation, but this concept. So here in the U.S., I drink milk alternatives all the time just because I like the taste better than dairy milk or something else. So if you guys looked out proactively towards a potential marketplace and gotten a sense as to what people actually like in their milk, or if they have a preference for the taste profile, or is this just sort of a working assumption that you would then have to potentially modulate later to change whatever conditions to change the flavor?
Well, it's all based on marketing research, like all companies that are big right now, like Friesland companies, something continuously doing research because the consumer needs are shifting. So yeah, of course, it would be based on what people want, but how much does the system could adapt to that? Because we are here to satisfy the I think
I like the modularity part. I think that's a really good answer. I think I was looking to see if you guys had reached out to consumers to see what sort of profiles they prefer.
Sure. Also, also some research on consumers and on outreach nights, outreach things like was the night of science. We talked to a lot of potential customers where we just asked about their opinions and what they think of this and would they actually buy it, and we got very good feedback. Yeah.
I think we have time for one question from the audience. Does anybody want to ask a question?
How expensive is all the other minerals that you want to add? Like, is it something that's cheap or it will be very expensive?
Since they come in the milk in a lot lower concentration than the other components, we will be able to buy them in bulk. They won't be that
Okay, let's all thank Duesseldorf one last time.
Das Rasit. Ich habe die Frage von ihm gar nicht verstanden, aber du hast ihn gut gegeben.
Ja. Ey, ich wollte einfach nur sagen, der rasiert gerade voll. Der ist einfach voll rasiert. Junge,
Das ist der Mann,
Junge,
das
Junge,
ist nicht nur
Junge,
Andreas.
Junge, Junge, allesamt Ehre, Ehre, Ehre.